Hey guys, it's Drabble Geek here, and welcome back to Ace Attorney, where we are in the second part of Recipe for Turnabout, and we are about to go to trial, in which I guess this part of the trial will be proving that Maddie didn't murder the dude, and then I guess later on we have to do some more investigation. That's usually kind of how this game works. We prove that our person didn't do it, and then prove that I guess our fake Phoenix Wright did do it. Um, but yeah, and then I also have a fan going off behind me. I don't know if it's like too loud or it's being like picked up and it's annoying on my mic, but it is way too hot here in the Midwest and I really need it. So let's just go ahead and get started. You gonna say something? Oh, I see. Guess I should have expected this. Nobody saw the other guy, huh? But he was there when I took the coffee over, sir. Scout's honor. Maggie. Ack. Detective Gumshoe. Are you doing alright? How you feeling? As if you need to ask either question, sir. Don't let him get you down, Maggie. And don't forget to eat well, okay? Roger. And you. Yes? You better square this case away, got it, pal? Maggie's innocent, you hear? If you screw up, then I'll be doing some squaring away myself. Squaring away some paperwork for your arrest. I think he's serious. He does look pretty serious. Hey, detective, you're on our side for once, right? Yep. So you'll be able to help Maggie out, right? Really? Can you, sir? Uh, of course. I got the situation under control. You know Jack Squat, don't you, Gumshoe? I'm going to be the first witness on the stand today. So you're not going to help, you're just going to say what happened. If something I say doesn't mesh with the facts, make sure you point it out, alright? Sure. Okay, we're forming a united front today, pal. You get me. I can't tell you how grateful I am, sir. I've always admired you so much, detective. I don't know why. I know I can count on you. No, you can't. Looks like it should all go pretty smoothly today, huh? I can only wish. Ain't that the truth? It never goes smoothly. And also, why does court have to start at 10 a.m.? I am barely functioning at that time. Court is now in session for the trial of Maggie Bird. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Oh gosh. Can we skip Godot drinking coffee? Ah, bitter. Mr. Wright? Yes, Your Honor? Ah, what's wrong? Nothing. It's just whenever I addressed you in the previous trial, your response was, "You's talking to me?" It was a little, well, intimidating. No, that wasn't me. That was the phony Phoenix. I see. So our trusty Phoenix Wright is back with us now, is he? Our trusty. So, Mr. Godot, your opening statement, please. Mr. Trite, whether you're a fake or the real deal, we will find out soon enough through this trial today. But I can already tell you, I'm the real Phoenix Wright. And the fake Phoenix Wright also said he was the real Phoenix Wright. You're not proving anything, my boy. I wasn't questioning whether you are Phoenix Wright or not. I was questioning whether you had studied law or not. That's a good question. I would say that's a good question. That's what I intend to find out. There's no denying it. Behind that mask is a man who really hates me for some reason or another. Because he's somehow connected with Edgeworth and he's mad at me for taking him away. Or he's in love with Francesca and he's mad at me for sending her away. That's kind of how this game's been going. As everyone is aware, the court has already given its verdict on this case once. Therefore, I won't stand for relevant testimony during this retrial. nor will I stand for simple repetition of evidence presented in the last trial. I'm not planning on repeating anything that a phony me said, trust me. Now then, Mr. Godot, please summon your first witness. Oh, he looks so sad. Let's start with the formalities, shall we? Name and occupation. Witness, state your name for the court. Huh? Oh, sorry, sir. The name's Police Department Detective. Occupation, Dick Gumshoe. Oh my gosh. Other way around, detective. Huh? Oh, sorry. Anyway, I'm the officer in charge of this case since yesterday, sir. Since yesterday? Yeah, the guy who was on the initial investigation's tied up with another case now. Hope Gumshoe's really got everything under control, for everyone's sake. He doesn't. I see, so Detective Gumshoe, would you outline the court the basic facts of the case? Yes, sir. The victim's name was Glenn Elg. He was a professional programmer. He was on the payroll for Blue Screens Inc., a local company. This is the victim's autopsy report. The court accepts this into evidence. Died of potassium cyanide poisoning. Time of death between 1:30 and 2:30. And here are the floor plans of the restaurant. When the incident took place, the victim was sitting right here. Poisoned coffee was brought over to him by the waitress. The waitress being the accused? Yeah. The victim died from poisoning almost immediately after taking a sip of the coffee. At the time of the incident, there were 2 other people in the restaurant. Mr. Gene Armstrong, the owner and chef, and a regular by the name of Mr. Victor Kudo. This still leaves the chef as a possible murderer since he had access to all the food. Still seems to be a very straightforward case to me. Come, detective, take up this hammer and nail the defendant's coffin shut with your own 2 hands. Now then, Detective Gumshoe, let's have your testimony. Yes, sir. Is he pretty much just going to be reading out what the previous detective said? When the incident took place, the victim was alone at his table, sir. We understand that the guy, Glenn Elg, was listening to the radio at the time. Traces of poison were found in his coffee cup, and what we found was potassium cyanide. The stuff really packs a punch. And, it looks like Miss Bird might have had, well, some kind of motive. Using the dark, aromatic depths of coffee to conceal the poison. Classy lady. The facts of this case seem to be ironclad. Mr. Wright, I would ask you to begin your cross-examination, but... Yes? Please no intimidation tricks this time around. Is that understood? I already told you that wasn't me. But we're going to pretend like it wasn't because it's funnier for everyone involved. Okay, let's go ahead and save so I don't have to go through that again. Alright, when the incident took place, the victim was alone at his table. Can I stop you for just a minute? Huh? What is it? Did I say something that contradicts the evidence? He's so desperate for that to be true, he's practically crying. Your testimony just now doesn't match the testimony given by Miss Bird. She claims that there was another man at the victim's table. Yeah, that's what she said. And what killer wouldn't say that when faced with a homicide conviction? Hey. Sadly, her testimony isn't supported by the owner or the other customer. Isn't that right, Detective Gumshoe? Yeah, it's true. Their 2 testimonies tie up on that. They both said there was no other guy at the table. What should I do? Should I press this point a little harder? Actually, I want to... They both have reasons to say that's not true. Well, maybe the other witnesses just missed him. Perhaps their view of the victim's table was obscured in some way. Ha, that argument's as weak as the coffee at Tresbian's, right? I have here in my possession a ticket. A ticket? Looks more like a photo to me. Yes, a one-way ticket to the guilty veal. Population, the defendant. This is a photograph taken from the entrance to the kitchen. This is the scene as witnessed by the chef, moments after the poisoning took place, correct? I think the court will agree there is such a clear view of the scene of the crime. How, Mr. Trite, could anyone have overlooked a second person at the table? The fact that Mr. Kudo would not have been looking at the table, but rather at Maggie, certainly seems to show the victim's table extremely clearly. Also, actually, I want to look at that. Yeah, so there's... Yeah, but I'm suspicious of the chef, so that's... I don't really care about him. But... should that table be pulled out where it is? I'm not sure. It could possibly be just the angle that we're looking at that makes it look that way. We understand that the guy was listening to the radio. He was listening to his radio, you say? Yeah, he had a portable radio in his chest pocket. Maggie told us that too, didn't she? Something about how one of them had some sort of earpiece. What should I do? Should I press on this point harder or no? We know that's true. No, I should leave it alone. I got a bad feeling about where this is going. You got a bad feeling about this, then maybe you should leave it alone. I once had a bad feeling that I was about to have a bad feeling. It was really bad. Maybe I should move on to another part of his testimony. Traces of poison were found in his coffee cup. So traces of the poison were found in the coffee cup and nowhere else. Not sure I get you, pal. Was the poison a liquid or was it a powder? If I had to put it in layman's terms, I say it was a powdery substance. So the poison could have been anything that was on the table. Sugar, salt, pepper. You wouldn't put that stuff, well, other than the sugar and the coffee. Ha. Do you put salt and pepper in your coffee, Trite? The victim took his coffee black, with no sugar. Ugh. Seems that the poison could have been in the coffee. What should I do? Should I press? I don't think so. And what we found was potassium cyanide. That stuff packs a punch. Potassium cyanide, I heard that chemical before. Exactly how strong is this poison, Detective Gumshoe? It's, well, that stuff's lethal. Eat too much and you're history. How much is too much? A lethal dose is 0.2 grams. That's about enough to finish anyone off. 0.2 grams? How much is that? You know when you swab your ears for earwax? Yeah, about that much. Earwax, huh? Sounds like something Gumshoe got an abundance of. Such a small quantity of poison could have been concealed anywhere. Agreed. And it looks like Maggie Burt might have had, well, some kind of motive. Some kind of motive? Yeah, but if you ask me, it's been blown out of proportion. You know what my golden rule is, Detective? Check out a bad cup of coffee. You can always get another. Huh? I don't get it. I don't think we're supposed to. I'm saying we can always get another witness on the stand if we have to check you out. So stick to the facts, Detective. Now then, what was Miss Bird's motive? Come on, Gumshoe. They said she wanted to steal a lottery ticket. I knew it. That's what we heard yesterday, too. This appeared from the scene of the crime. And it wasn't just any lottery ticket. It was a winning ticket for $500,000. Mr. Armstrong knew about the ticket too, didn't he? But he stole the wrong one. Then, is it possible Maggie stole the winning one? What should I do? Should I press on this point a little harder or not? I think we should press. Wait a minute. Mere fact the lottery ticket disappeared in no way implicates my client. Ha. I have here in my hand the very ticket in question. That's the $500,000 lottery ticket? One of the female police officers found it when she was conducting a search of the defendant. But what? Yeah, I feel like we have, so little information. Order. Ha, she's quite a lucky bird, our little waitress. You will submit that ticket as evidence to the court immediately. Better keep an eye on that ticket, the way the judge's voice is quivering. A winning ticket. This ticket was presented to the court in the previous trial, too. But if it feels heavier now, somehow, $500,000, you say. It's just a scrap of paper. What matters is where it was found, Your Honor. And that's on Maggie's person, unfortunately. You really think there are any contradictions in this testimony? To be honest, I don't know. But Gumshoe told us out in the lobby. He said we'd be forming a united front, right? How will we win this case if he doesn't throw us a line? Gather the facts together, I guess. Do I need to press him on, everything? Listening to the radio. And what was it that the victim was listening to on the radio, Detective Gumshoe? Huh? How should I know? Thanks a lot. We're now one step closer to the middle of nowhere. This isn't going very well, is it? Detective, could you perhaps tell us about the poison and how it was used? Traces were poison found in his coffee cup. Was there something to press him on the statement? So the poison... Yeah, we get it. No one has that in their coffee. Are you absolutely certain that the victim even drank any of his coffee? Huh? What do you mean? According to this file, the poison was found in the victim's coffee cup. But what proof is there that the victim ever drank any of it? Oh, hey, you're right. That's what I was thinking. In case you were wondering, the last objection was for the detective there. Huh? For me? Oh, hey, you're right. You may be fooling the court, but I'm not falling for it. If you have the time to waste, you have the time to present that piece of evidence. That piece, sir? Yes, that piece. What piece was it again? This. Okay, that was assault. Should I be grateful this coffee is only hot enough to give me first-degree burns? Oh, now I remember. This is the, victim's coffee cup. Yes, the victim's cup. Take a good look at the rim. Oh yes, it's unmistakable. There is clearly a coffee stain on it. Conclusive proof that the victim did drink the poisoned coffee that was in his cup. The victim gulped down the bitter death that the waitress brought to him, like this. For the record, the only prints on the cup were the victim's and the defendant's. Well, the chef could have been wearing gloves. Upon further investigation of this cup, we found a certain chemical substance. That's enough. The facts of this case seem overwhelmingly clear to me. The defendant had ample opportunity to commit the crime of which she is charged. Furthermore, it seems beyond reasonable doubt that she did indeed commit this crime. I like an old man who knows the score. There's also the matter of the $500,000 lottery ticket. That alone provides a very credible motive. I mean, for that sum of money, even I might be tempted to bend the rules. I don't mind an old man who is weak to the siren call of money. Not good, Nick. The evidence against Maggie is starting to pile up fast. Yeah, that's because the court has ruled guilty once already. I say it's about time to wrap this repeat performance with one final decisive piece of evidence. He's got more evidence against Maggie. This is the apron the delightful Miss Bird was wearing at the time. Wow, that's not the cleanest apron I've seen. That stain looks like... It can't be blood, can it? Ha! Seems the star of our play was a little flustered. And somehow spilled coffee on herself. The coffee? That's not exactly the first thing that caught my eye. Of course, the coffee stain isn't the most interesting thing about this apron. No, there's something else that stands out even more. Something else? I presume you mean... Of course, I'm referring to the pocket. The pocket? A search carried out right after the incident uncovered this. Potassium cyanide, the very poison used by the killer, was in her apron pocket. A bottle of poison in Maggie's pocket. Yeah, and Maggie's prints were the only ones on it. What? Order, order, order. The court will accept these items into evidence, but we're not going to question the blood. Interesting. Potassium cyanide. There's something still bothering me, Mr. Godot. Why have you not explained the blood stain to the court? Bloodstain? What bloodstain would that be? Don't play games, prosecutor. The blood-colored stains that smeared all over the apron. That's ridiculous. No one told me anything about a blood stain. You don't need to be told. Just look at it. Well, detective? Could the stain really be blood? No way, sir. It's just ketchup, sir. Ketchup? Why would she have ketchup? She must have gotten some on her apron while taking someone their breakfast that day. You could have spoken up a little sooner, Detective Gumshoe. Pull a stunt like that again and I'll have you drink 12 cups of ketchup, witness. Ugh. Thought everyone knew what it was already. I haven't seen anything yet to make me doubt the last ruling I made on this case. Motive, the opportunity, and the supporting evidence. They have all been clearly established. Well, Trite, seems you really are a phony after all. Ugh, you really know how to drive a man nuts. Witness, please continue with your testimony. Describe for the court the crime scene and the findings of your investigation there. His investigation, because there was no investigation by him, found nothing. The crime was reported at 2:25 p.m. by a kind of scary old man, sir. Poor Maggie had passed out from the shock. It must have been real tough for her. The victim didn't have any identification on him, but we figured out who he was pretty quick, and then the investigation went smoothly. When Maggie was searched, we found the lottery ticket and the bottle of poison. And that was it. There was nothing else missing from the crime scene. You identified the victim and secured your prime suspect. Very good. But she was passed out, which means anyone could have placed something on her. Last chance to convince the court you're a real lawyer, Trite. Don't count on any more cross-examinations after this one, so let the fun begin. Yeah, my thing is someone could have easily planted anything on her. Let's save and then go back. Kind old man. I'm guessing this was Victor. Scary old man, Detective Gumshoe. There's an old man who's a regular at the restaurant where the incident happened. We're obviously talking about the same old man. Officer was dispatched right after the report came in, but the old guy still made a fuss. What took you so long? Then he hurled abuse at them. And seeds. Seeds. Ha. It was nothing. I caught each one with my teeth. Guess not even the mighty Godot can avoid being attacked by that guy. The old man was the only other customer in the place at the time. He took his time finding a payphone, apparently, so he was late reporting the crime. so maybe about 2-ish, was the actual crime. Poor Maggie had passed out from the shock. It must have been real tough for her. How long was the defendant unconscious for? The officers got to the crime scene around 2:40. Maggie was still out cold in the kitchen at that time. It took another 10 minutes or so before she came to. I'd have liked to have been on the scene myself. I bet you would have liked to have carried out the search too. I would have loved to see Maggie asleep like that, all pretty and peaceful. Okay, Edward. You're a professional detective, Gumshoe, not a professional bird watcher. Say the romantics for your own time, detective. All we need to know about is the investigation. Oops, I guess I'm pretty red right now, aren't I? Actually, you're not. The victim didn't have any identification on him. He didn't have any? Are you saying that it was stolen then? No, I don't think so. The victim didn't have a driver's license or even a credit card on him, pal. All he had was 58 cents in his wallet. 58 cents? Yeah, I can't believe I found someone with less in their wallet than me, pal. The victim sounds like he was a thoroughly miserable young man. Or some kind of outlaw. Why not give him a bit of an edge? I think I'm onto something here. How did he pay for everything? Is that what you're talking about? But we figured out, excuse me, but we figured out who he was pretty quick and then the investigation went smoothly. Wait a sec. Huh? Did I say something dumb again? Let me paraphrase what you testified to this court. The victim didn't have any form of ID on him. That's basically what you said, yes? Yeah, basically. In that case, how were you able to identify the victim so quickly? Oh, that. He's so let down. He's got the whole sagging shoulders and puppy eyes thing going. There was a prescription bag on the victim's table along with the lottery ticket. Seems Mr. Glenn Egg visited his doctor before he went to Tresbian. He got the victim's name from the medical records of the doc who prescribed the meds. That's a reliable enough source for the court. What should I do? Should I leave this alone or ask to hear more? I don't want to know about his prescription per se. Although his prescription bag could have been contaminated. But where would he have gotten his insurance information? So the victim had no form of identification on him, correct? Yeah. And yet, before arriving at the restaurant, he went to see a doctor, which means he must have had his medical insurance card with him. Oh, that is very true. The fact that it hasn't been found points to only one obvious conclusion. The victim's medical card was stolen. Ha. True, the victim didn't have a medical insurance card. But why? Because Mr. Glenn Egg didn't have medical insurance to begin with. Huh? As I thought. Thoroughly miserable young man. Thought he had a job. Some kind of outlaw. A bit of edge never hurt anyone. Looks like we're off course again, Nick. Witness, please continue with your testimony. Explain for the court the events following the preliminary investigation. Maggie was searched. We found... I do want to know what kind of prescription it was. Let's continue. I'm going to ask about the prescription bag. So what sort of medication was in the bag? Well, actually, the bag we found was empty. Huh? Yeah, completely empty. It was completely empty. Wait, that green bottle we found, in the kitchen. Huh. You're entering an empty paper bag as evidence. Desperate, are you, Trite? Now, what happened with the investigation after that, detective? Well, we have a person who likes to steal, and something that we think is stolen, I think, that matches that. When Maggie was searched, we found the stuff. But the defendant had been passed out for a while, correct? In that case, isn't it possible someone planted the evidence in Maggie's pocket? Hey, yeah, you've nailed it, pal. Happens to me all the time. We had a department party the other day, and when I got home, I was wearing the boss's shoes. Keep up this crazy testimony, detective, and those shoes will end up down your throat. Sorry. So, trite, someone planted the evidence in Maggie's pocket? That's a pretty bold statement. Care to back it up with some evidence? Well, I love to, if I had any. It appears you have no evidence to support your theory, Mr. Wright. Continue with your testimony, witness. And that was it. There was nothing else missing from the crime scene. So the $500,000 ticket and the bottle of poison were accounted for. Yeah, interesting. It's true those two items are accounted for, but wasn't there another lottery ticket that was stolen that day? Oh yeah, the one the restaurant owner took. He won a whole dollar with it. What a lucky guy, huh? And they're just going to let him get away with it? It's just $1, detective. I guess no one cares when it's that little, except for Gumshoe. If I don't find a hole in this testimony, Joe's going to hand down his verdict. He's not giving us anything, can't find... Yeah, that's true. Maggie and Gumshoe are like Dumb and Dumber. They missed something obvious. Be the dumbest you've ever been. I believe I've asked him about everything. Left by the victim. Autopsy. I mean, are we talking about how it's empty or the paper the dude left? I want to try that one as well. I want to keep the prescription back though. I don't think that's right. Nope. No medication. Oh yeah, Detective Gumshoe, I think I should point something out to you. There's just one small contradiction in your testimony. Oh, finally. I'm getting all anxious just waiting, so hurry up, will you? You testified that nothing else was missing from the crime scene. However, the prescription bag you mentioned was empty. Did the officers recover the medicine from the scene of the crime later? No, they didn't. The victim was given a prescription right before going to Tresbian. Where then did the medicine disappear to? You're too cool, pal. Okay, so it was the medicine instead of the thing that we found. Indeed. Due consideration wasn't given to the victim's prescription in the previous trial. Witness, why do you always overlook such vital pieces of evidence? I guess that's the most careless thing I've done so far, huh? The victim was killed by poison, and the victim's medicine mysteriously disappeared. The victim's own prescription could have been the lethal poison itself. Order. Well, Mr. Godot, what do you have to say to that? That's all. What? Read for the court the name of the clinic on the prescription bag, if you will. What's the clinic's name got to do with anything? New Ear Otolaryngological Clinic. I'm gonna guess ear. Like a hearing aid, maybe. Just what kind of illness was the victim suffering from, Mr. Godot? Hardly an illness, Your Honor. More like a bitter war wound, you could say. A war wound? The day before the incident, Mr. Egg found himself in a fight. He took a blow to the side of the head, and ruptured his eardrum. He ruptured his eardrum. Then how was he listening to anything? Then what on earth was the prescription he was given? It was a cream that was to be applied topically inside his ear canal, not to be ingested. What? It mentioned in the autopsy report, if you read the fine print, found traces of the medication in the victim's left ear. If it wasn't his left ear, then how was he listening to the radio? Yes, here it is, in very, very fine print. Seems Mr. Egg correctly applied some of his medication while he was at Tresbian. Therefore, it would be absurd to believe that he would have eaten his medication. Seems that this medication is irrelevant to the case after all. No, Nick. If you don't think of something quick, it'll all be over. She's right, but I can't get away with any old weak objection. What should I do? I'm gonna push it, like where the radio. Only moments ago, Mr. Godot made the following statement. It seems Mr. Egg correctly applied some of his medication while he was at Tresbian. If that's the case, then why was the medication not found at the scene of the crime? But the medication in question was for topical use inside the ear canal. That doesn't change the fact that it could not be found at the crime scene. However insignificant it may seem, it's a lawyer's duty to pursue the truth. You know as well as I do that medication is irrelevant. Hardly seems like a prescription drug would contain potassium cyanide. It hardly seems likely that the coffee the waitress served would contain it either. But it did. The possibility is undeniable. That's enough. Mr. Godot, is the detective the only witness to the prosecution wishes to call? Mr. Godot? I got my own witness I like to call, sir. It's the old man who was there in the restaurant on the day of the murder. Victor Kudo, the pigeon hater? Very well. The matter of the disappearing medication seems little more than trivial at best. However, it wasn't explored at all in the previous trial, and that is something that bothers me. Yay, good job, Nick. The court will adjourn for a 10-minute recess, after which we will hear the prosecution's next witness. Ha. I suppose this means I'll just have to finish you off in my last 6 cups. Court is adjourned for recess. Alright, so that's only been an hour. Felt so much longer. Phew, that was close. Tell me about it. I nearly died in there. That's my line, sir. No, it's my line. I think I really did die a little bit. Looks like we all nearly died in there. Can't believe Detective Gumshoe. How could he betray us like that? Huh? He said he'd help me. But he totally set me up. I don't think he meant to do that, Maggie. He was backed into a corner. I mean, the guy's got to do his job, right? It's okay. I know all about lies and betrayal. I've had them my whole life. But it really hurt this time. It felt like someone punched me hard in the stomach. I hate that guy. I don't ever want to see him again. Poor Gumshoe. As he walks up to them, wondering what's going on. So the next witness is going to be that old guy from the park, right? Yeah, Mr. Kadu. He lover of waitress outfits and projectile seeds. Although some seeds do contain cyanide in them, like apple seeds. I don't know if he would have been feeding that to the pigeons, though. I bet he's going to be really stubborn. I mean, he's pretty set in his ways, you know. Yeah, he's a big old grouch. Are you going to be able to handle him, Nick? Yeah, I can take whatever he throws at me. Even those never-ending bird seeds. Oh, we're going back? I thought that was going to be the end of today. I guess I was wrong. Court will now reconvene for the trial of Maggie Bird. Mr. Godot, your next witness, please. The prosecution calls the lucky old-timer who caught the show over a cup of coffee. Will the witness please take the stand? So I guess what we need to do is prove that he wasn't looking at the victim or the table, but instead was staring at Maggie. So he's not a reliable witness to say that there wasn't anyone else. Name and occupation, if you don't mind. Name is Victor Kudo, born and bred in the land of the rising sun. Honor and duty are what make me. Mind you, it can be quite emotional at times, too. You don't need to hear about that, Mr. Kudo. Just tell the court your occupation. My occupation? Listen, youngin', how much you think there is for Komodo embroidery here? Komodo embroidery? That's what I do, or did, back in Japan. I embroidered family crests on kimonos. Like, is that square yours? My ancestors were embroidering kimonos before this country even existed. Wow, a real craftsman. They're a dying breed. Hey, maybe could embroider my costume sometime. Anyway, like I said, there's not much demand for that kind of thing here. So I had to take a job working the cash register at a burger joint, pretending to smile. That burger joint would have been better off putting him in the kitchen. Now then, witness, were you in the restaurant at the time of the incident? Oh, yes, I was eating some seeds over Capa Javasino. Seeds? What do you think these are, I see. So you saw everything that happened, Gramps? Did I? Oh yes I did. I saw it all. Then please, tell the court. We're all ears. Sure. I'll tell you every last detail. He's really getting into this. What I witnessed. The young man was reading the sports paper. The serving girl brought him a Javachino, but she put something in it. The man took one sip of it, looked like he was in terrible pain, then collapsed. That's the serving girl right there in the defendant's chair. I remember her well. Mr. Kudo, she's not a serving girl. Please refer to her as a waitress. You're as bad as the rest of them. All these newfangled words. What's wrong with the old-fashioned ones, They're super sexist. Newfangled? All this talk of radios and glasses is wireless and spectacles, I tell you. Excuse me. Listen to me, everyone. Don't forget the old values. Don't let the good old days slip away. Okay, Boomer. Well, I think it's time to begin the cross-examination, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. Alright, so let's go ahead and save this. The young man was reading a sports paper. So you saw the victim then? You saw Mr. Glenegg? I wanted to know if Gusten Braun retained his championship or not. So he was looking at the sports paper the victim was reading, And at the location in question, there are partitions between tables on the same side of the restaurant, right? So what if there are? If you say you could see the victim, that means you were sitting on the table on the other side of the restaurant, correct? I got to that place to drink Javachino. I don't go to sit. I don't remember which table I was sitting at. You mean you go there to eye the waitress? Precisely. The serving girl brought him a Javachino, but she put something in it. Mr. Kudo, that is very grave accusation. Are you sure about what you saw? Victor Kudo never makes mistakes. I dot every T and cross every I. You might have messed up a little right there. Somewhere around the entire sentence mark. I see. My eyesight's fine. The doctor said I only need spectacles for reading and driving, which means you need glasses. Bet his eyes are only fine when he's scoping out a waitress. And I saw that serving girl put into the serving girl put into the Javachino as well. But I know it's coming and something tells me I'm not going to like it. We have to continue. Your Honor, we need more clarification on the what was put into the victim's coffee. I'd like to ask the witness to add what he knows about this to his testimony. I agree. Witness, will you enlighten us, please? Sure. There's no question about it. She very conspicuously put some white powder in there. Did she really put that into the coffee? You doubt me, boy? She took out a small brown bottle and sprinkled it in. Couldn't she have been adding sugar? Sugar in a small brown bottle like that? Like that. Witness, could you please describe the bottle in more concrete terms? Bottle like this, perhaps? Oh, there it is. That's the one. That's the bottle of potassium cyanide, I presume. So what did the accused put into the coffee? I think it's clear, don't you? Ugh. The man took one sip of it, looked like he was in terrible pain, and then collapsed. You took just one sip? You youngins, you waste everything. This Javachino's cost $8. In the good old days, we would have drank every last drop, eaten the cup, and then died. Congratulations. You have earned the title of battiest man to grace a courtroom. So it was an immediate death. Well, with potassium cyanide, I suppose that is possible. Oh, yes, he slumped over without so much as a twitch. You just said that it looked like he was in pain. I felt the Javachino I just drank turn sour in my stomach. Oh yes, I know that feeling. And the waitress, I presume she is... That's a serving girl right there in the defendant's chair. I remember her well. You said I remember her well in reference to the waitress. Did she have any particular features that you can identify her by? Particular features? It is a disgrace, that's what it is. Sorry? You can see all the way up to her, you know. She's practically naked in that uniform. So the particular features you recognize about the waitress is her outfit. But anyone could wear just a uniform, even me. Mr. Wright, please spare the court any of further mental anguish from that image. Don't get all excited, Nick. Gotta keep yourself together. I guess I got a bit carried away. There are other things I recognize about her, too. Seems pretty sure of himself. What should I do? Press harder. Sure, you saw a waitress take the coffee over to the victim. But what matters is whether that waitress is Maggie Bird or not. Quite right. Mr. Kudo, those other features that you recognize about the defendant? I would ask you to add them to your testimony. Sure. There was a ribbon in her hair and her apron straps were loose. There is a ribbon in her hair. I don't know if her ribbon straps would be loose. But isn't the ribbon the uniform? You do seem to remember several details about her appearance. But what about the most crucial detail of all? Her face. As if I would remember that. The witness noticed the straps of the accused apron. He's unlikely to make a mistake about her face. Well, if that's the uniform, he just told us more about the uniform. That's right, I can tell you the color of the ribbon in her hair. It was red. So you see, there's nothing wrong with the witness's eyesight. There's no doubt he remembers the waitress pretty well. What should I do? I get the feeling there's something more to this somehow. Mr. Kudo, you seem especially interested in straps. Why is that? What? The ribbon in her hair, the straps on her apron. What's the fascination? But fascination? People have all kinds of fetishes, right? We don't need to embarrass the witness. Yeah, we don't kink shame, right? Listen, you young upstarters, I haven't got some sick strap fetish. Is there any relevance to the witness's unusual love of straps, Mr. Wright? I was just curious as to why he was so fixated on the waitress's straps. I said I haven't got Strap fetish. How many times do I have to repeat myself? Very well. Continue with your testimony, Mr. Cadeau, and make it strapless. Do you think old CD really saw Maggie do it? Had his eye on the waitress, but he was there for cute outfits, not the waitress, I guess. Did I just say something clever? That's what we have to figure out. So let's ask about her back this time. As if I would remember that. Witness notice was read. Ask about the waitress's back. Let's try it. The identifying features you described are the things you would see from the back. So what? Is it possible that you never saw the waitress from the front at all? Oh, I definitely would have thought he meant the straps on, like, the shoulder. Ha, he's got you there, Gramps. People normally talk about facial features when they're asked to describe someone. But this witness's testimony has nothing but straps and ribbons. This is harassment. I'll tell you I'm not obsessed with straps or ribbons. I'm just telling you what I saw. Mr. Kudo, the court requests that you add details about any identifying features. Features you observed from the front, that is, to your testimony. Sure. This old man's testimony is getting longer and longer. If I can't find a hole in it soon, it'll get even longer, I bet. There wasn't anything that caught my interest about her when I saw her from the front. You didn't find anything to be distinct, but you did clearly see the witness's face, yes? No question about it. I didn't come this far to back down now. Victor Kudo never backs down. That's not the answer I was looking for, but okay. This has turned into a matter of pride for old CD now, I guess. Wonder if he really did see Maggie's face or not. Like I thought, we need some concrete proof of this. Proof that the old guy didn't see the witness clearly from the front. Guess. Wait. That gives me an idea. Profiles. He doesn't really have a ribbon. Although there is something red around his neck, so it's quite possible. Has a thing for waitresses. Yeah, I wonder what ear he was listening to the radio to. Because my thing is, he also didn't really recognize Maya when she was in the outfit. Coffee cup. Wait, if you saw the front of his face, then he would have had to have been in this little seat in order to see the magazine. Yeah, I really don't see how he would have been able to see her. There wasn't anything that caught my interest about her when I saw her from the front. There's a ribbon and our straps were loose. The man took one sip. Serving girl. We know his eyesight's terrible, so he probably doesn't even know what her Is there anything about his eyesight in the evidence? I mean, like, if he had at least seen her front, he would have seen all of this, right? I'm gonna try it. Nope. It's also quite possible I did the wrong one, didn't I? I saw. Yeah. Oops. There we go. I did it on the wrong one. Mr. Kudo, I would like you to please take a look at this. God, that filthy thing would suit filth like you just perfectly. Actually, reminds me of what my grandson looks like after he's done eating. Have you ever seen this before? Of course I haven't. You think I forget something as dirty as that, Well, you half-witted clot. What? What is it? Since I said you half-witted clot, there's been an eerie silence in here. Mr. Cadeau, this apron is the apron worn by the defendant on the day of the poisoning. Oh. And as you just said yourself, you wouldn't forget something like this. Which means, if you had really seen those apron before, yes, you know what I'm getting at. You couldn't have possibly seen the waitress from the front. Oops. Super meek. Oops. Witness. Can't just oops your way out of this. Ha. Well. Looks like we finally have a genuine trial on our hands. Listen, Trey, here are the facts. On the day of the incident, there was only one waitress in the restaurant, that being the defendant, Miss Maggie Bird. Exactly. And when that one waitress put the poison in the coffee cup, this old guy was watching. I hope you understand the gravity of the situation, Mr. Cadeau. The fate of the defendant may rest on what you say you remember seeing. Just tell the court exactly what you saw, Gramps. You can rely on me, Captain. My noggin's in perfect working order. I can't remember a single occasion when I forgot what a burger or customer wanted. Well, there's a receipt, so you don't have to. Can't remember. Probably more like he messed up so many times he's blocked it out. Very well. Let's just test how good your memory and attention to detail is, Mr. Cadeau. Tell us what you remember about the victim. He was another one of those pesky young types, wearing a broken pair of spectacles. He had a newspaper in his right hand, and that noisy brat kept rustling its pages. The young man was listening to the wireless. I remember that well. Then the serving girl in question brought over the Javachino. Little Fidget picked up the cup with his free hand and took a sip, so in his left hand. The testimony we have just heard is how to test how credible the witness's memory is. It seems to me that he remembers the victim in a great deal of detail. Oh yes, I hate those. You know what types, who are so vague about everything? How are we going to handle this, Nick? We only need to do one thing. Just need to prove that the old man's memory is shot. Just trip him up, you mean? Isn't that kind of cruel? Suppose, but it's what I do best. Okay, so he held the paper in his right hand. Okay, let's look at the picture. The young man's listening to the wireless. Yeah. Oops. His free hand? Yes. Which hand was that? Weren't you listening before, cloth ears? I said he was wrestling the newspaper with his right hand, didn't I? If his free hand wasn't his right hand, which one was it, you moron? Maybe the great Mr. Trite has 3 hands. That the old guy's memory has more holes than a slice of cheese. Well, I found it. Oh. Let's present the photo. Your Honor, that statement contradicts this evidence. What? Excuse me? Are we supposed to say it was impossible for him to have sipped with his... I mean, the picture shows it would have been on his right side. The way the coffee stain is stained, the only way he could have held it was with his right hand. Okay, those both should be equivalent. Mr. Godot, do you remember what you were told at the start of this testimony? That this was a way of testing the credibility of your memory? I know. There's nothing wrong with my memory, I tell you. Nothing. If I got anything wrong, I'll eat these seeds and sing the pigeon song. Care to tell us where this is going, Trite? According to Mr. Cadu, the victim was holding the paper in his right hand, while drinking coffee with his free hand, which would make that his left. What is this, kindergarten? But I would like the court to please take a look at this. That's the cup the victim used, correct? Yes, and on the rim you notice the mark left by the victim's lips. Yes, there is a stain left by the coffee. If you consider where that stain is, you clearly see that the victim was holding the cup in his right hand. But how? Well, Mr. Cadu, the war is waiting for your epic performance. You said you eat those seeds and sing the pigeon song. Ugh. Mr. Cadu, I'm afraid this is simply not acceptable. I think the witness had better go back to the park where he came from. Wait. If you think I'm going to stand here and listen to you tell me I'm mad, you're wrong. I don't care about that dirty coffee cup. I know what I saw. You still insist on your testimony? That young brat was holding that cup in his left hand. Oh yes, no question. I am a good, law-abiding citizen, I am. That dead young hot bot and you spiky-haired yahoo, who are at fault. Who, me? Thank you, old man. We've heard quite enough from you already. Don't call me old man, old man. Been around for 68 years, I have. You can't ignore me. Listen to what I've got to say. I'm sorry, Mr. Godot, but... Sure, why not hear a little more? Mr. Godot. But this is my 16th cup of coffee, so this is your final stand. Thank you, Captain. You can rely on Victor. No, we can't. Unless he was saying his right hand from where he was sitting, which would... Alright. The boy was wearing the earpiece on the same side as the green lens of his spec, which would be his left ear, which was... Wasn't his left ear ruptured? Yeah. Which means he wouldn't have been able to hear. He kept fiddling with it all the time. He was fiddling with it just before he picked up the cup, too. Then he used the same hand to pick up the cup, his left hand. We know the victim was wearing an unusual monocle over his left eye. It wasn't a monocle, Your Honor. It was a small computer monitor often used by programmers. A monitor? You mean like a television screen? The inside of the lens is a screen that displays computer data. It's called an HMD. It's a common tool in the victim's line of work. HDTV, DVD, CD, all these newfangled letters drive me mad, but they don't matter. I know what I saw, and I'm telling the truth. It's true. He doesn't seem to be lying. And those are the facts in good old black and white. Let's save again. I have a feeling that this is going to be like the end of this trial day coming up soon. So the victim was wearing an HMD, HGTV, CD, DVD, what does it matter? It was none of them acting. None of them actually, but anyway. And you sure that he was wearing the earpiece on the same side? No question. I could only see the side of his head from where I was sitting. Okay, that matches up. Yeah, that's pretty obvious if you look at the floor plans. From the opposite table, he would only view the side of the victim's head. He kept fiddling with it all the time. It seems you kept an eye on Mr. Glenegg. He was getting on my nerves, wrestling the newspaper and fiddling with his earpiece all the time. And then he went and made that fuss dying from one sip of Javicino. I wanted to say to him, calm down, you young brat. Just looking at him made me suddenly speed up my seed eating. I could have choked. So I take it the victim was walking ball of nervous energy. He was fiddling with it just before he picked up the cup, too. The earpiece you mentioned, which hand did the victim touch it with? You're one of those people, aren't you? You're the type that uses your left hand to get things out of your right pocket, or fastens your left cup with your right hand. That's the only way you can fasten your left cuff. And when the tour guide says on your right side, you'll see the famous blah blah. You're the only one who deliberately looks left. Well, aren't you? No, I didn't mean. Obviously, he used the same hand on the same side of his body that his earpiece was in. Ow, ow. So if he had HMD on his left side, then it was his left hand, I guess. And then he used the same hand to pick up the coffee cup. His left hand. Like, all this does is you seem very sure of yourself. That's because I know what I saw. Looks like you really did. Well, Nick, what do you think? I think this guy's telling the truth, but even so, something's not quite right. Then chuck the evidence at him until he breaks. But if he's not lying, there wouldn't be any contradictions in his testimony, right? Kept fiddling with it. Was fiddling with it before he picked up the cup of coffee, too. Alright, so cyanide, apron, coffee cup. Okay, this proves that he would have held it in his right hand. This also proves he would have held it in his right hand. And if he was sitting here, and he was assuming it was the side closest to him, the only way he would have thought that was if he was sitting here. I was fiddling with it just before he picked up the cup of coffee. He was wearing the earpiece on the same side. His ear. Let's see. Got this before going. The victim. He should not have been wearing an earpiece on that side. Is this it? I'm not sure what the relevance of this is, but Mr. Cadu, there was something very strange about your observations of the victim. What? You say he was wearing the earpiece on the same side as the HMD? No question. You can lock me up if I'm wrong. It was his left ear, without a doubt. I could only see that side of his head from where I was sitting. I don't think so. What did you say? You're no doubt unaware of this fact, Mr. Cadu, but the victim couldn't hear with his left ear. His eardrum was ruptured. Eh? Traces of medication for his condition were found in his ear canal. That's right. It's impossible for the victim was wearing his earpiece in his left ear, because he couldn't even hear in that ear. Is that true, Captain? It is. Pie, pigeon. Oh, pigeon. Pretty pigeon. Yeah, dude. Order. This witness's testimony is completely unreliable. He only saw the waitress from behind. And he claims the victim was wearing an earpiece when we know his eardrum was ruptured. Well, Mr. Godot? Unless he was sitting on the opposite side of the table, that's the only thing that makes sense. A single drop of milk is all it takes to destroy the pure black magic in the cup. This old man is my drop of milk. Captain, are you calling me a drip? This is the victim's coffee cup in which the potassium cyanate was found. The mark on the rim clearly shows that the victim picked it up with his right hand. I'll never back down. I know I'm right. The lad drank his Javachino with his left hand. Let me put you out of your misery. Clearly the victim used both hands. He took a sip with the cup held in his right hand and then switched to his left. That's what the old man saw. Impossible. The witness has already testified on numerous occasions that the victim died immediately after taking just one sip of the coffee. Which hand the victim used to pick up his coffee cup is irrelevant, Your Honor. The fact still stands. With one hand or the other, Mr. L drank the poisoned coffee. Like this. Sadly, Mr. Godot, that doesn't wash. The point of this testimony was to establish whether the witness's memory is credible. And the results are clear. The testimony given by this witness is useless. Very true. I believe it is time to conclude today's proceedings. I am satisfied that the witness is not deceiving the court, but to be frank, his testimony is a farce. Did you have to be so frank? Take that, you pompous old Fuji. I'm sorry, Mr. Godot. You can't reach me from here. I'm ordering the defense and the prosecution to investigate this case further. That is all for now. This court is adjourned. Yeah, I had a feeling. Wait, who's holding it and why? Wait. If we stop now, where does this leave me? Leave you, Mr. Godot? Thanks to that blue-suited young upstart over there. I'm just a bumbling old man who can't even dot his T's or cross his I's now. How is your bad memory my fault? I'm sorry, Mr. Godot, but there's nothing I can do. I've kept my mouth shut until now, but there's something else the court should know. What? There's more? To be perfectly honest, it might not be anything, but I want another chance. I want another crack at you, you young shark. Me? He's looking at me like I'm some sort of evil shogun. Well, everyone, what do you say to one final showdown? The final chapter in this eccentric old man's scrapbook. Sorry, Gramps. I've already had my 17th cup of coffee. What have you got to lose, Captain? I give you all the Javachino you want if you come to my house after the trial. I may be 68 years old, but Victor Kudo is still a man. That's enough, witness. I believe it will be quicker for the court to just hear your testimony. You bet, much, much quicker. Can't believe this is happening. Ha ha ha, you better get ready, youngster. I get the picture. Just quit throwing those seeds at me, would you? It's Gotta be using some sort of infinite ammo code with that box of seeds. Haha, video games. First of all, I want to stress that this might be nothing. I'm not too sure of myself. The young man slumped over the table as soon as he took one sip of his Dravacino. While the clumsy idiot upset the vase, he knocked it right over. It broke and the strip of cloth covering the table got completely soaked. Well, how about that? Turn things upside down, Is that all? Yes, that's all. I remember it perfectly. You're doubting me again. You're doubting a poor, defenseless old man? No, we are not doubting you, Mr. Cadeau. Don't you get a feeling there's a question hanging on everyone's lips, Nick? Yeah, so what, probably. That's all I can think of, and I have to cross-examine this guy. You're a bird brain, that's all you can think of. Very well, Mr. Wright. Your final cross-examination, please. Okay, I honestly was not expecting this to go on for much longer. First of all, I want to stress this. I'm just going to press them on everything. The court generally prefers if witnesses are sure of themselves, Mr. Cadeau. Noisy brat. I'm warning you, I am more than savage than a macho man right now. You won't beat me with this testimony. This is the final battle. Ow. He's chucking those seeds harder than ever. Better be careful. Come on, Nick. Nail him. The young boy slumped over the table as soon as he took one sip of his Dravacino. The court has already heard that testimony, Mr. Cadeau. I know that. I was just setting the mood. How else am I supposed to build up the suspense, The suspense? Yes, now what do you think? Should I work the audience a bit more? No. Please continue, Mr. Cadeau, as quickly as possible. Alright, now where was I? Oh yes, the young boy slumped over the table and... Well, the clumsy idiot upset the vase. He knocked it right over. The vase, you say? Yes, there are vases on all the tables in that place. They're accidents waiting to happen. They're practically begging to be knocked over. Well, he's right about there being vases. I do remember seeing them too. There was a vase on the table when I ate lunch there, although the one on the murder victim's table's been slightly off-centered. And you saw the moment when the victim actually knocked over the vase? Well, it's hard to say. It's all a bit unclear. How do you really define... Okay, I get it. I heard it break, and the sight of it's burned into my memory as clear as day. It's not broken, though. It broke, and the strip of cloth covering the table got completely soaked. Soaked in water, you mean? Yes, it splashed on me on the knee as well. You said you were sitting at a table across the room from the victim, correct? And yet the water still managed to splash onto you? It was cold. I clearly remember it splashing me. Could the water really make it all the way across the other side of the room? No. Well, how about that? I turned things upside down, You mean the vase on the victim's table falling upside down and breaking? The vase turned upside down, and my testimony's turning this case upside down. As a joke, I just wanted everyone to hear it. What do you think, Captain? I'm impressed by your ability to waste time. Godot hasn't raised any objections for a while. So, young show-off, with that scrap of information, I'm throwing down the gauntlet. If I lose this one, I'll take it like a man and admit defeat. It's really giving you the evil eye, Maya. It's you he's looking at, Nick, not me. It's like he's saying, I triple dog dare you to find a contradiction, young'un. Guess I'll just have to rise to the challenge then. Rise to the challenge. And then it broke. Well, my thing is, I guess is the next one over. Like, it's not broken. Mr. Cadeau, this is a photograph of the crime scene. So what? Look carefully at the table. The vase is there, intact. Huh? Wash your tongue, Granddad. I'm no granddad of yours, Hopscotch. Ow. Enough. If you throw any more seeds in this courtroom, the cleaners will be here all night. Thought you would have put him in contempt of court. What is it now? Just remembered something. Please don't. Yes, go on. The broken vase. Haha, it was on my table. What? Oh, well, you see, it startled me when that young lad collapsed. So I stood up. That must have been when it fell over. The vase on my table, I mean. The vase on your table? Ah ha ha. Yes, it was on my table. And that's how my groin came to be completely soaked. That's nice. That was an excellent use of time. Impeccable, honestly. Thank you, Mr. Cadeau. You've certainly earned your kudos for today. I'd like to ask a question now. Have I been any use at all? No. Perhaps that's something you should reflect on yourself, Mr. Cadeau. Wait a minute. If that's the case, there's more. I got more to say. Oh, he just wants attention. Oh yes, I remember something else. Bailiff, escort the witness out of the courtroom. Wait, listen to me. Bye. Peace out. Don't want to hear from you ever again. Well, we seem to have been considerably sidetracked, and I am still not in a position to deliver a verdict. The defendant has not been positively identified as the waitress in question. Additionally, there are two disparities in the testimony we have heard thus far. The mark on the coffee cup that the victim supposedly drank from with his left hand, and the earpiece, which was inserted into his left ear, out of which he couldn't hear. Wow, Nick, you did it. I therefore require both the defense and the prosecution to further investigate the facts. Yes, Your Honor. There's one more thing before I call today's session to an end. One more thing, Your Honor? The witness we just heard from. He is most insistent that his testimony should be of use, so he summarized it accordingly into this statement. Okay. You may each have a copy of it if you wish. Whatever. The prosecution doesn't need props like that. Doe's really mad, huh? Yeah, I would be too. Very well. Here you are then, Mr. Wright. There are 3 copies, my own, yours, and Mr. Godot's. Yes, Your Honor. When the incident occurred, I broke the vase at my seat. I am sorry. Wait. When the incident occurred, I broke the vase at my seat. I'm sorry. Yeah, this isn't, look, it's pretty positive it wasn't a haiku this time, but I just need it to count. I'm sorry. This isn't a piece of testimony, more like a 5-year-old's apology. What the heck are you supposed to do with 3 copies? Well, you're only getting 1, Maya. The judge is getting another one, and Godot is getting another one. We only have 1 copy. That is all. This court is adjourned. Great, because I have a headache. I think it's like the weather that's getting to me. It kind of sucks, but I'm still not too sure where this other phony Phoenix Wright comes into play. That's the one thing I'm not too sure about. Yeah, that's the only thing that doesn't make sense to me, where the phony Phoenix Wright comes to play. I mean, we're going to assume that Maggie was somewhere else, seeing as the old man didn't really see her, or it could have been the chef I mean, he could have lied to Maggie about what she was putting into the drink. That's totally possible. I don't think the chef is totally innocent in all of this, but I'll guess we'll see next time. And I will see you guys then. Bye.